Hello, hello, morning GDQ. My name is Kuiper Don't Care, and I am here with a completely, totally normal-looking Donkey Kong. Because we're submitting DK64 Randomizer for this upcoming SGDQ. I've been submitting DK64 Randomizer for the past 3 years, I say. But we've actually been featured quite a few times on various hotfix shows, both myself. We've also had Tudo, Spike Vegeta, and we also recently had one of the more recent Fatales events. Verdant Ash ran our previous race settings, which were known as Season 3 settings, over on one of the Fatales events. This randomizer is constantly evolving, constantly changing. New features are added all of the time. As you can see, we have a tiny-headed Donkey Kong here. But we're going to jump in pretty quickly because there's quite a few things to explain as far as, you know, what we need. Oh, it says accept in the background. Oh, it's perfect. There's quite a few things to explain here at the beginning, but we're going to, first of all, pull up this intro screen. So the first thing that you're going to notice is we have all of our moves here shown on the left side of the screen. We also have some keys kind of in the bottom right corner of the screen. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what do you need in order to beat a DK64 randomizer seed? Well, one of the things that's going to help me explain that is the tracker on the right side of the screen. You'll see all of those items that have a star next to them. Those are the items that you will always need in order to beat a DK64 seed. You will always need the missing keys, which are 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We do know the location of key 8. It is not randomized. It's always at the back of Helm. And speaking of Helm, we always need Monkey Port, which is the tiny move you see there. That is starred. We also always need Gorilla Gone and Vines, which is another starred move, because those moves allow us to access Helm. Everything else, whether it be the instruments that we need in order to complete the mini games in Helm, whatever moves we need to defeat the randomized K rule phases, all of those things we don't know going into a seed. Those are things that are going to be, you know, told to us through our hints, through what we find in the shops, potentially some other info that you can get over the course of the seed can kind of lead you towards what you may need and not need. We'll cover all that when we get to it. For the purposes of this submission, I am going to be submitting this on Wii U VC. You could also play this on a regular, you know, N64 with an EverDrive. A lot of different ways you can play it. For the purposes of submission, just because it's a little easier and more accessible for me, I will be submitting this via Wii U VC. So, with that being said, let's jump into it. And I will probably allocate some of this submission time and some of this runtime itself to kind of explaining how hints work, because it's not quite as, you know, straight and narrow as maybe some of your, you know, Zelda randomizers that are very, you know, oh, you need to go to this area to do this thing. There's some uniqueness, some quirkiness to the hints in this game. So we'll cover that. We'll maybe allocate some time when it is appropriate. So that being said, let's get going in 3, 2, 1, go. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen almost immediately. The first thing you're going to notice is that that's a really fast warp. I could spend probably 10 to 15 minutes talking about all of the different quality of life that this randomizer has inside of it. Warps are faster, load zones are faster, you can exit to aisles from any level, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. Not to mention all of the extra hints that you can come across. It's just an endless list of things that the developers of this randomizer have toyed with, sometimes even necessarily fixed, in order to make all of the features of this randomizer run effortlessly, run smoothly. And kind of what we're doing right now is we're doing our, if you're familiar with randomizer jargon, we're kind of doing all of our Sphere Zero checks. And for the most part, Sphere Zero basically means that you don't need anything in the game beyond what it gives you from the start to check anything. So we have an ability right when we load in known as Shockwave. Normally you get this ability from the Banana Fairy here in Isles, but we start with it. So because we start with it, we can check all of these dirt patches. One of them, of course, as you saw earlier, gave me a key, one of the keys that we needed. And that kind of makes up your early game routing. You can kind of do these checks in any order you want. Some people have preferences. I personally always check the dirt at the Kalumsy cage first. Then I go over to the little Banana Fairy Island there, take a picture of that fairy. And then I come back here, I check this dirt patch, and then finally there is a cranky shop back here that I check. I'm gonna grab this banana medal. Hopefully this doesn't matter. That would be pretty funny if it did. And then I come back here and I check this cranky shop. So another change that's been made is all of these shops can hold any move from any Kong, but they can only hold up to 3 things. So you'll see it'll only cycle through 3 faces here. Those are the only things in this shop. Okay, and perfect. All right, so we will not be playing Jetpack today. That's very good. So we won't be collecting any more of those banana medals that you saw. So the first thing that we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna pivot to where I would normally go. Because we got that key 4 earlier, we have access to another lobby. Now, the way the keys work in DK6, ooh, there's a vial up here. Vials are moves, so let's see what this actually gives us before I continue my thought, because this may change what I wanna do. Okay, it does not change what I want to. However, that is a move that we need. Keys in this game work a little interestingly. They're not quite as straightforward as you'd think. This is one of our first hints here. So we have an Isles Kasplat in the factory lobby is Way of the Horde. So if you're familiar, again, with, you know, your standard Zelda randomizers, one of the sayings is Way of the Horde, meaning that's just something you need to beat the game. Well, in DK64, we have Way of the Horde because of the Banana Horde. And it's a cute little kind of reference to it, but making it its own thing. We also have another hint here, Aztec tunnels. So this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, and we'll allocate a little bit of time here to explain what these hints mean. So path hints are a little different than the hint we read earlier, which was Way of the Horde. Way of the Horde simply means you need whatever it is on that specific check that it told me in order to beat the game. It doesn't tell me why I need it. It just tells me that I need it. These hints are a little bit more of a why hint. So Aztec Tunnels, which is the area that we're about to enter, is going to give me an item that is on the path to Key 5. Now, that could simply mean that Key 5 is just going to be there, or it could mean it's going to give me a move that unlocks Key 5. And these path hints can get very, very complicated. You can see upwards of 5 to 6 different things that a move can be on the path to, and that is the secret sauce of this randomizer. You are, because of the way the hints are structured, you're kind of like a primate detective, like a little monkey detective. And you're trying to figure out all of this information and what it could be talking about and what it might not be talking about, because the way the path hints work, you can actually get some negative information that could help you out in later situations. So the first thing we're going to do, we're in Aztec. I kind of glossed over the fact that Japes, which is normally level 1 in this game, was in the level 5 lobby. Randomized levels has been a thing for many, many years in this randomizer. It's kind of a standard type of setting. Virtually nobody plays with the levels in their vanilla locations. We are also playing with a setting called Dose Doors. So that's what kind of these hint doors that I've been walking up to. You'll see another one over there by Funky. Actually, that might be the boss door. Let's see. That is the boss door. Okay. These hint doors serve as, you know, our information, right? This is how we're going to get our hints. And normally these hint doors are where the vanilla boss doors are. So getting your information in these settings, getting your hints, is actually, it requires a little bit more thought, because you may not have access to some hints. There are certain doors and certain levels that are locked behind various guns, various moves, things like that. So you kind of have to keep track of what you've seen and what you haven't seen. All right, we have a hint for Tiny. Tiny is a Kasplat in this level. Kasplats are the enemies that hold the blueprints. They're just called Kasplats because that's the sound they make when they walk around. So let's go over to this Funky shop. Let's see what we have here. We can buy some GBs. And as far as GBs go, GBs serve a couple purposes. Of course, the first one is they allow us to say, ooh, banana, every time we pick one up. And the second thing they do is they allow us to enter levels. And in Season 3.5, at a bare minimum, you must collect at least 64 of them. And the reason is because the Helm B locker, the door to Helm, the last area of the game where we have to go to, because that's where our key 8 is, that B locker is always set to 64. So not only are you kind of routing to get all your keys, your missing Kong family members, your moves, and things like that, you're also in the back of your mind thinking, okay, I need to get to 64 GBs. What is the fastest way for me to do that? And usually, just like that, the fastest way to do it is to just have one land right on your head. So a lot of different moving pieces going on all at once in this randomizer. So here's another example of one of those extra hints that I talked about. So this is Snide. Normally you give Snide blueprints, which in turn give you GBs, but if you don't have any blueprints to turn in, he's actually going to give you a bonus hint, which is what our Helm order is. So he's telling me right there, so in order to beat Helm, I'm going to need Donkey and then Chunky. You see that on the bottom of the screen? I just filled that in. So what that now means is we must find Bongos and Triangle in order to beat the seed, because those are the 2 rooms that we must beat, and those rooms are locked behind their respective musical instruments. Just getting some more information on that, and then we're also collecting these small bananas. So the banana medal checks in the game, which normally you're given a banana medal every time you get 75 colors in any given level. That's another type of hint, which is just a potion total hint. We will cross that bridge when we get to it. Normally, when you're playing DK64 and you collect 75 colored bananas with a given Kong, you're given a banana medal. But the banana medals are shuffled in this game. You could find a banana medal in a shop, you could find it on a Kasplat, you could find it in a crate, anything like that. So the check itself, getting to 75, now serves as a check that you must kind of passively do, right? Now, we lowered it down from 75 to 45 because having to collect 75 colored bananas in a level every single time you play is a little obnoxious, so we lowered it down to 45. This might just be tiny here. Oh, it is not. Okay, so we got Strong Kong here in Aztec Tunnels. That is what this region is. You can actually see that on the bottom of the screen there, various Aztec tunnels. So what that tells us is that there's a good chance that Strong Kong, which is a move that Donkey uses, we do not have Donkey yet, is going to be on the path to key 5. So let's grab these coins, and then we'll walk in here. We're going to buy this key that we see on the storefront. Let's see how much it costs. $2. Okay, so we're going to buy that. All right, so we have key 2 now. So I was talking about the keys earlier, then I got sidetracked. Keys work a little weirdly in this game. So key 1, which we start the game with, unlocks the ability to walk into the lobby, the level 2 lobby, which is what we just did, and this is where we are in Aztec. Key 2, however, which is a really good one to find. Also, that Kasplat there has a nickname. His nickname's Kevin, which is kind of funny that he's included in my submission video. Key 2 unlocks levels 3 and 4. So it kind of goes against the first rule of like, oh yeah, key 1 locks level 2, but then key 2 locks 3 and 4, and then 3 doesn't do anything, and then 4 locks 5, and then 5 locks 6 and 7. It's complicated. It's kind of a weird little quirk of this game. For the most part, the really only thing you need to keep track of is finding keys allows us to access deeper levels, which is good. So we are going to get one more. We're going to get one more hint here, and we're going to check one more shop. This is the candy shop. Let's see if she has anything. She does not. And we have another Kong hint. Diddy is bought. It can be found by Tiny in Japes. Okay. So we've exhausted kind of all of our options here in Aztec. I opted to go to level 2 instead of level 1 there. Because we're playing with a setting known as complex level order. So to kind of explain complex level order, you need to understand simple level order. It's kind of one of those, black and white type of deals. Simple level order was a feature that was prevalent in a lot of the early iterations of competitive DK64 rando play. I actually can't go into this level yet. Let me get up there. Let me get this hint before I leave. Creme is 4. We already got that, so we don't need to write that down. Simple level order basically means that the game sort of treats it as if there's not vanilla progression, but like you have to kind of do the levels in order to progress, right? So things in the early levels are not going to lock later levels. Your Kongs have to be given to you at certain benchmarks in the game, like they can't be past level 5 or anything like that. In complex level order, all of those sort of barriers, all of those benchmarks are all removed. Basically, anything can be anywhere. That's kind of how complex level order works, which means you might have to go to level 4, like we are right now, before you go into level 2, which is very funny. All right, so here's one of those big chunky hints. Okay, no pun intended. So we have a Key 8, Diddy, Chunky, and Kongs. So that gives us a little bit of information. So the first thing it does is it tells us that one of the K rule phases, we don't know which one it is Diddy, which means we need to collect peanuts and rocket barrel. You can see how the moves that you need to find kind of build as you do the seed. We also need to do a chunky phase, which requires punch and hunky chunky. And then there's a free Kongs hint, and all that really means is that there's something in Mills that's going to allow me to free one of the Kongs that I am missing. It might be Diddy, it might be Donkey, it might be, Tiny. So we don't know yet. So right now we're just kind of going to go into Factory. Factory's ooh, okay. That's a nice spot to find that key. I believe the hint door is over here. Another thing that you're noticing is we have random spawns. There's a lot going on. There's just a lot happening, a lot going on. Certain Kongs have really big heads. Certain Kongs have small heads. Everybody's red. It's chaos for the most part. All right, so let's come over here and check this shop. First thing we don't have is we don't have a lot of money. We do not have a lot of coins to buy things with. So seeing, GBs or blueprints in shops right now is kind of a problem because I don't have a lot of money to purchase those things with. In fact, I think I'm just gonna jump up here and grab like 2 chunky coins just to get to 6, because I'm gonna end up dropping down into an area that has 2 more shops in it. And I wanna make sure in case I need to buy something with chunky that I can afford it. If I can get on top of this block, there we go. Chunky and Lanky are not great jumpers. Chunky and Lanky each have their own, Lanky maybe less so. But each Kong kind of has their own like little mini specialty. Of course, Chunky can lift up boulders with relative ease. We all know that as part of the song. But the Kongs that I don't have right now are actually some of the better Kongs to have. So Donkey, eventually when we do find Donkey, Donkey is the fastest Kong. His movement along the ground is the fastest, and we're primarily going to be using him to move around all the time once we find him. Diddy and Tiny are the highest jumpers, so if we need to like climb up a high ledge, if we need to maybe, do a little cheatsy doodle, a little rando trick, we can use them to do that. Unfortunately, we have neither of them, so we kind of got to use Lanky and Chunky to kind of run around, so no big deal. Another type of hint that you just saw there, foolish regions. Basically, foolish simply means that there's nothing in that region that I need in order to beat the game. And I spoke that rainbow coin into existence. So now I have a decent amount of money. Rainbow coins serve as sort of they're 5 coins per Kong. So in other words, I just got 5 coins with Chunky and Lanky at the same time. But I also oh my gosh, I'm getting all the keys early on. This is going to be an interesting thing to deal with. Okay. Basically, that gives us 5 coins for every Kong, even Kongs that we don't have. So when I get those Kongs that I mentioned that I don't have, like Donkey, Diddy, and Tiny, they're going to start the game with $5, which is pretty nice. Okay, so this is another way of the Horde hint. I cannot access that yet because I do not have Pineapple Launcher. And yeah, we already have almost all of our keys, which is a little shocking. That is not often the case. We're only missing key 5, which of course we have a hint for. Okay, let's check one more hint door here. Storage arcade is 7. That hint is obviously a little useless because we just got key 7. So the main thing that we want to do next is we're going to check these shops. And if you noticed earlier when I walked into the forest lobby, the B locker had a 7 on it. I actually could not enter that level. Well, while I've been here in factory, I've managed to get up to 7 GBs. You can actually see that on the tracker at the bottom. So we're going to be going to forest next because apparently there is something really, really good in the mills area that is going to hopefully get us some more Kongs and some more moves. So let's put the chunky face up here. Let's see, what can I do? Is there anything in, as far as these Way of the Horde hints that I can do? There is not, at least not yet. Let's check over here. Oh, this might be a really good move. Let's see. The shopkeeper will tell us. A ground slam. Okay, so this is an upgraded Simian slam, which is nice. We can now ground pound blue switches and not just green ones. Excuse me, taking a sip of coffee there. All right. Smash this. And, you know, instead of leaving, let's be a little thorough. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we do need to get to 64 GBs no matter what. So a lot of the time it does kind of pay off to be a little more thorough than maybe you'd want to be in some of these early levels, just because we have access to checks that we can do. And we want to try to get to 64 as effortlessly as possible. So we're going to do the infamous climb up production room. This room has been the bane of many DK64 Oh, I'm glad I did that. Okay, we need that move. All right. This room has been the bane of many a DK64 rando player's life. Falling in this room is very sad. You feel bad every time it happens, and there's a lot of different ways that you could fall here. So we're gonna try to maybe skip some cycles and do a little cheeky jumps there. We're also probably not gonna collect any of these 2 things I've spawned in. We're not gonna collect that banana medal because obviously we don't need it, and we're also not gonna collect the lanky blueprint because that requires a move that we do not have. So just take a nice little casual ride around this spinning bar thing. I actually don't really know what this is serving the purpose of. I think the whole point of factory is like they make toys. I don't really know what they're making in this room. This room is a little strange. I don't really exactly know what they're building here, but all right, let's just jump across these. Let's get across here. That is where the boss door is going to be, up here. We don't really care about that. Also, shout out to Bob Barker. $1 Bob. We have not seen a $1 Bob yet. A $1 Bob is just... I should explain. A $1 Bob is literally just any move in a shop that only costs $1. I just refer to it as a $1 Bob. Okay. We got 10 GBs now. That's pretty good for this early. And now we're going to do one last thing, just to make it a little easier to get around in this level in case we want to come back. We are going to go grab the last 2 banana warps that are here in the vanilla entrance. I'm also going to grab a few more chunky smalls and some more money. Climb up here. Yeah, and then from here, we're going to head into Fungi Forest. So... Fungi Forest, one of the more difficult levels to route in these settings because you have to deal with the day-night cycle. There are certain areas of the level that are locked away to you unless it is either daytime or nighttime. And the only way to switch it between day and night is to have a... Actually, you know what? Ooh, that was a good thing I just found. Let me just get the chunky metal while I'm talking. The only way to do that is to have some sort of gun, which we literally just got. We just got a type of projectile weapon, I guess, with the grape shooter. So we can now alter it to day and night. Before that, if I would have not found that, we would have not been able to do that. So, very nice find there, right at the very end, right before we were about to leave. So Fungi Forest was what level? Was it level 3? I did not mark that on my tracker because I was too busy talking. I want to say it was level 3. Perfect. Okay, and then Galleon's level 1. All right. Let's head on into Fungi Forest, and we'll probably just immediately rush over to the Mills area, unless we just spawn there, which we did. Hooray! All right. Back here, there's a couple things we can check without any prerequisite moves. Okay, so Pineapple Launcher is interesting. So Pineapple Launcher is the move I mentioned earlier that unlocks that check in Aztec. So that simply could be the move that the game was hinting about already. But we won't know unless we either find some more info or we just start doing some pineapple checks. So we'll be a little more thorough. Mills has a lot of checks in it. Some of them we can do logically, other ones we can maybe do some cheatsy doodle strats and get. Peek over there, that is just a banana fairy. A lot of checks in this game you can just completely cross off the list by just looking at them. The peak strats in this game are very important because that check there, that banana fairy check, is a very long, very tedious one that requires moves that we don't have yet. So being able to just say, all right, nope, I don't got to worry about that check ever again is good. Same thing with this winch down here. Let's climb up, grab these lanky smalls, and then I think we are gonna head out to the main area, make it nighttime, and then come back. I think is what we're gonna do. Just because there is another hint door that I can get back in that area over there, that gate there. It looks like it's open. It's not open. If I were to approach it a little closer, you'd notice that there's a big black gate with a moon symbol on it. That means I have to make it nighttime in order to check that. And an actually kind of cute way that we're going to get back over there is I'm going to come over here. Let's grab these. We're just being a little thorough. We're going to come up here. We're going to make it nighttime using this cuckoo clock. Whoops. There we go. And then I'm actually going to come over here and check the chunky minecart over here. So whether or not this is an item that I need to complete the game, or whether it's a blueprint, or whether it's a GB or whatever, if I quit out of this minigame, let's call it a minigame, the game is going to put me back in Mills. So it's kind of a cute little way to get back over there, routing way. Okay, we're not going to do that for a banana medal, absolutely not. If it would have been a GB, I might have just, you know, shown it off. It's a fun thing to do quickly once you know all the strats. But we're going to exit to level, and it's going to put us right back in Mills, which is very, very nice. And let's come up here and do this lanky check out of logic. So more randomizer jargon. When I say that something is out of logic, basically what that means is we are missing some move that the game expects you to have in order to complete this check. Now, given the fact that I've done, you know, thousands of DK64 rando seeds, I do not need the move that the game expects me to need here, which is homing ammo. So these enemies that spat out of that little grate up there normally are very, very fast, and they're hard to kind of shoot. But because their speed is randomized, you could theoretically come in here without homing ammo, like I just did, and shoot them with a gun that is not grape shooter, like I just did as well with pineapple launcher. And the main reason I don't want to be using grape shooter is because all of the guns in this game, maybe if you played this game as a kid, maybe you never caught on to this. The guns in this game actually have varying degrees of damage that they do. So the grape shooter and the feather bow do the least amount of damage, followed by the coconut gun and the peanut pop guns, and then the pineapple launcher. The pineapple launcher is the best gun in the game because it does the most damage. That guy, we don't want to talk about that guy. Those guys are problematic. Hopefully we don't have to explain what they do at any point in this submission video. So one last Kasplat that we're gonna beat up, grab the GB. We're gonna grab this hint. Okay, that is another Kasplat. Lots of Kasplats are required this seed. It's very interesting. Okay, so We managed to get a move out of the Mills area, and we know that that move, being the pineapple launcher, is going to get us a Way of the Horde check back in Galleon, or back in Aztec, excuse me. So we're going to be a little aggressive here, and we're just going to rush back to Aztec. Now, I could have went over to another area of the Mills. I could have went over to the mushroom area that has a whole bunch of checks, as well as the owl tree area that has a whole bunch of checks. And I probably will go back over there eventually, but we're gonna play a little aggressive. This is normally how I would play this type of situation if I was, you know, competitive, you know, if I was racing a bunch of people, you know, if we were in a tournament or anything like that. I'm a much more aggressive player. I skip a lot of checks when I'm playing, just because I mean, we're speedrunners, you know, we like going fast. We don't like doing things that are slow. So, and the best part about this check, or this area here in the 5-door temple, we also refer to it as the Get Out temple, is Chunky's room specifically has 3 things in it. It has a dirt patch, it has a Kasplat that we were told earlier is required for something, and then of course it has the actual check in it, which is a mini game that we're gonna have to maybe do. So, kind of get a 3-for-1 here with Chunky, so getting into the Chunky 5-door is pretty nice. Let's see what the dirt patch is. It is just a GB. We'll grab it. That'll put us at 14. Come over here. Let's shoot this switch. We know that this guy is going to be important. Over here, this guy right here. He is... Oh, he's tiny. All right. Okay. So we got Tiny. We have a 3rd Kong, which is great. Tiny is really good because Tiny allows us to do some, I wouldn't call them, we'll try this minigame. I wouldn't call them glitches, but Tiny allows us to do some really cheeky stuff, which I will show off if and when I can. We'll do this minigame. It's a relatively quick one. We'll just get another GB out of it. Does Tiny get us anything? Let's see. I don't believe so. We are close to getting into Japes. In fact, I could actually just go straight to Japes with the blueprints that I have. I can drop off those blueprints to Snide, and Snide will get me enough to get into the next level, which is probably Japes. Yep. Well done! Get out. Let's hang around for one more area that I want to do, just because there's a couple things in here that I could get, just to be a little thorough. Again, we are kind of operating under the assumption that Pineapple is going to get us a lot of things. So a good spot to go is in here, in the Tiny Temple. This is normally where you free Tiny. So let's go in here. We're gonna grab some more Chunky Smalls, which is gonna get us that banana medal check. You'll see it pop up on the screen when I get to 45. There it is. So that was just a GB, that's okay. And you also, I might have been talking over it, you might have just heard like a little ding sound. That means that I now have enough small bananas to check the boss of this level. Bosses can have items. Usually, I am kind of infamous for just skipping bosses and never checking them. Primarily because, well, they're slow. Most of them are very, very slow. So, one more check here. So again, logically, this little vulture here, the game expects you to defeat him with the grape shooter, which takes quite a long time. Ooh, quite a long time to do. But instead, we're just gonna shoot him twice with pineapple, and he's gonna faint. We'll use some. Oh, I missed. Okay, I don't know how I missed. I rarely miss there. Yep, and we're gonna have to wait for him to come over here. So normally you have to shoot this guy like 5 or 6 times with the grape shooter, but because we're using pineapple, it only takes 1. We got a super duper Simian Slam. So that is red switches that we can now ground pound. And in fact, we actually, because we stuck around there in Aztec, I now don't need to dump my blueprints in order to get it to Japes. So pretty nice thing there. We can actually just kind of keep them and save them for maybe a bigger blueprint dump later on. So let's head over to Japes. We know that Tiny locks Diddy here in some capacity. And here's where you're gonna get to see maybe some Tiny shenanigans. Maybe not, because we spawned up here. Actually, you know what? I'll show it off anyway. It's a fun strat. I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's just grab that coin, because why not? And then let's actually, before I do that, let's come grab this hint, and then I'll show off the strat that I want to show off. Here, Foolish Shipyard Outskirts, that's a good hint. That area is kind of stinky. All right, so Tiny has some very interesting physics in the game, primarily this little jump kick that you see me doing, right? And doing it in quick succession allows you to go up slopes, like so, like that. Now, you can do that on virtually any slope in the game, and it can potentially, you know, depending upon what the game expects of you, allow you to skip out on some required moves. Now, we have the ability to get up this mountain, but if you didn't have the ability, you could do something like this. Like, okay, I fell down. Let's try one more time. You can kind of see what I'm going for here. My angle flipped on me there. We'll try it one more time. Oh, it didn't get my dive in. I want to try it one more time. I'm sorry, I'm stubborn. I want to try it one more time. Okay, we're not getting it. All right, that's fine. I actually did. If you watch my other submission video, the one that I do co-op with Derpy Dragon, I do manage to get that strat. So it's pretty challenging. It's one of the toughest strats in the game, but it's really rewarding when you get it. Let's see. Let's take a peek back here, see if there's anything back here that we care about. That is the boss door. That's nice, actually. We don't got to worry about that boss door until we get peanuts. And we're going to come over here and get one more hint before we warp back. This hint over here. Donkey can be bought in Galleon. Okay, so we know where all of our Kongs are, which is very nice. Now, unfortunately, for that particular hint, two of the shops that we would be buying Donkey from... Ooh, that is a blue vial? Okay. Two of the shops that we would be buying Donkey from are locked behind Diddy and Peanuts. So I'm not going to be in a huge rush to run over and get Donkey. And instead, we're going to try to maybe force our way into getting Diddy here, if we can. There's a chance we aren't able to, so. This coconut gun, we can now fire in spurts, which is very nice. I'm going to grab these coins because I don't have many coins with Tiny. Get another GB out of it. Okay. And one last thing we're going to do up this tunnel, and then we're going to save quit. Come back. Just peek what that barrel is there. Exit level, come back in. This will spawn us at the top of the hillside. We can check some more things. Got a crate back here. Okay. Check these cages. That looks like another fairy. It is, so we don't care about that. And then we'll drop down to this Funky shop. See what he's got. What do you have, Funky? We got I saw a Diddy move, so we can't buy that. Obviously, we don't have Diddy yet. But a Diddy shop item. Hopefully, I wonder if we might have to leave and come back. Looks like we're gonna have to. Looking like we're gonna have to do that. Oh, maybe not. Okay, maybe not. Okay, okay. Featherbow allows us to do a little more with Tiny. Let's see what happens. Featherbow is good. Featherbow's a good thing to find. Now, if I find Mini Monkey, that would be very good. Okay, let's not do that. We're gonna do some more cheating with Tiny here, just to get these lanky smalls, so I can get a little closer to doing his banana metal check. Grab these. Shoot this balloon. I missed. I missed again. There we go. And then we're gonna check this shop, and then, man, I might have to come back with Donkey, actually. Well, another Donkey move there. Okay, yeah, so what we're gonna do is, I'm actually gonna go back on what I said earlier. I am gonna go to Galleon, and hopefully I am able to buy Donkey in the Cranky shop, because that is the only one I'm going to have access to. And then with Donkey, I'll actually be able to do a check with Tiny, which is her banana metal. Okay, let's come over here. Let's just shoot this balloon. Let's shoot these two balloons, actually. One right here. Get Lanky's metal. I missed. Wait for it to come back. Come on. Ooh, okay, well, that's pretty good. Man, I'm getting all of these things unhinted. That's actually kind of mean. All right. With the peanut guns, let's leave. And let's go to Galleon. Let's try to pull a 1 and 3, shall we? I guess we could also go over to the Galleon Kasplat near the lighthouse, because he's also hinted. Go say hi to my good friend Kevin. I guess I should explain why his name is Kevin. There's a setting string that I came up with a number of years ago. It's kind of my signature setting string. And what it was meant to be was kind of my own sort of version of what I felt like the next competitive settings could be. And I turned on a bunch of stuff that I like. There's also different hinting. Whoa, Chunky was a little glitched out there. Different hinting methods that are used in it. And when I came up with the settings, I didn't know what to call them. And ultimately what ended up happening is LaRock, who is one of the devs of the DK64 randomizer, decided to name them Kevin for no other reason other than just to give them a name, right? Well, then I came up with an acronym for the settings, which stood for Kuiper's Extraordinary, Very Interesting New... It's dumb. It's just a silly, stupid thing that I came up with. However, when the settings kind of debuted, we had a very large kind of group race to sort of debut them, right? And this Kasplat over here, in the Galleon Lighthouse, this guy right over here, there was some very buggy logic that apparently expected you to defeat this guy without ever lowering the water. And it turns out that that's not even buggy logic. You're expected to be able to do this. And the way you're meant to do it is you got to bounce on his head like this until you knock him out. Virtually nobody expected that this would be required of you. You just got to bounce on him until he gets knocked out. Oh, got to keep doing it. There we go. All right. Now we got Mini Monkey. Okay, so we can probably go get Diddy now. That is what was expected of you to do, and almost none of us knew that. So that Kasplat over there, the one we just beat, became known as Kevin. His name is Kevin. He's named after the settings. Oh, I never walked over this. Ooh, that's kind of bad. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let me just run over here and see if I can maybe buy Donkey. I doubt it. Yeah, that's the lore behind Kevin. He's a cool guy. Oh, this song is so good, by the way. I've been glossing over the fact that this randomizer has some of the best, if not the best, custom music I've ever heard in any randomizer, period. The DK64 sound font is just so good and so versatile. I want to say there are close to 1,600, that is 1,600 songs that are now on the Rando Music website. A lot of them contain custom lyrics that people have made, using like the DK wrap, it's just absolutely incredible. The love and passion that this rando community has for this game is just so vast and so, I don't know. I could gush forever about how awesome this community is. So, is Donkey here? No. Let's get out of here. All right, so we're gonna use that mini monkey to all but certainly get Diddy here in Japes, and then Diddy is gonna get us Donkey. So at that point, we will have a full Kong family. And from there, we can start finally chasing some of these other Way of the Horde hints. As you can see, I have some starred moves that I have not found yet. So we do not know where Key 5 is. We don't know where our other chunky moves are. We also don't know where Bongos is, where Rocket Barrel, all that type of stuff. So go on in here. Let's go over to the Hive area first. This is the primary area where Tiny's checks are. Those are all being locked by Featherbow, which we found a little bit ago here in Japes. Now, even though I was able to check this area with Featherbow, I couldn't do anything over here with Tiny because both of these checks require Mini Monkey. Each Kong kind of has 1 to 2 moves that are just like their best moves and lock the majority of their checks. Tiny's move is Mini Monkey. You need Mini Monkey to do virtually everything with Tiny. So over here, Cave's Helm lobby. So we got a couple potions in the lobbies, which is pretty a little strange. Up in here, let's do the Hive. Maybe Diddy will be in here potentially. Would be pretty nice. We're also gonna get closer to that 45 colored check while we're in here as well. We're gonna have to do one little trip outside of this hive, going through one of the fallen down logs in order to get her medal. But then from there, we might be cruising to a, you know, just kind of, you know what, actually, do I have an instrument? I don't. Okay, I don't really have a good way of dealing with these enemies rather than just kind of throwing oranges at them. So we're just gonna squeak on by them. All right. Is Diddy here in the hive? I can't see. I believe that was Diddy. I think I saw the bottom of his model. Let's get up there. Let's try to... There he is. We found him. All right, let's grab the smalls. Just probably gonna do the check anyway. We found Diddy. We found him. All right. And then what shop had the... Okay, I remember. Okay, let's come out of here. Oh, I need to jump in the barrel, silly. Get this. Perfect. We can now exit level, go back in. I only have the 1 rainbow coin, which means Diddy is only going to have 5 coins as he comes out here. So hopefully this move... Perfect, excellent, all right. And that's Hunky Chunky. All right, that is a required move. Very good, okay. We need that in order to beat the game. All right, so Minnie was in Lighthouse, okay. And now with that, let's go get our boy Donkey. Before we do that, we'll clean up some checks here in aisles that I can do now. Again, just trying to push that GB count to 64. We can also go talk to the Banana Fairy here and get 1 check off of her. So the actual... Oh, it was bongos. Oh! All right. I was not expecting that. Okay. Very cool. We're gonna come back in here actually because the reward, normally the rareware banana is in there when you get every fairy in the game. We only need 5 fairies to get this check back here, but she will tell me what she has back there. Okay, it's just a GB. Very good. If we just so happen to stumble across 5 fairies, I can come back and get that, but there's a good chance I'm probably never getting that GB. All right, let's come over here now. Let's check this grape cage over here. Okay, we don't need that. All right, and then let's go get Donkey, shall we? I could also check this. Could check this lot. Let's try to do a little strat here with Tiny. So I didn't have much luck with it in Japes, but let's try it here in the Galleon lobby. This guy needs to stop attacking. Okay, you need to get out of the way. All right. So there is a barrel here. If I can, my camera will spin. There we go. So that barrel normally requires you to have PTT to access it. But as you can see, you can make the jump with Tiny if you do a well-timed kick slide. Let's see if I can make it. Not when I don't do the kick slide. Let's try it a couple more times. So my camera is way zoomed in for some reason. There we go. There we go. We got it. All right. A lot of the kick slide strats with Tiny are more precise than you would think. That's actually kind of worth it. Let's grab the blueprint. We can turn those in later. Again, I only have 25 GBs, which is not a lot for this deep in the game. We got to be working towards that 64, so. Okay, so we're gonna spawn here in the tunnels, or in the caverns, I should say. Say the name of the region. Oh, okay. All right, so I guess it's time to explain this guy. So this guy's a cop. That's what they're called. Normally, they only exist in the Stealthy Snoop minigames, but they have been pulled out of those minigames and are now can just be in the regular game. So if you're wondering what happens if he sees me or if I run into him, you get thrown out of the level. And you got to do everything over again. Wherever you were, wherever he caught you, you get thrown out of the level and you got to come back in. So they are the big scary enemy if you are in a competitive race. You do not want to be caught by one of them. Almost ever. So, swap over to Diddy. Open up the switch. We can now rescue our friend Donkey. He is somewhere in the shops in this area. Again, we are really low on the I swam past it. There we go. We are pretty low on the GBs, so I'm going to open this area up. Show off the treasure room here in a second. Up here, is he here with Candy? I don't believe so, but we can hopefully buy these 2 golden bananas. You'd think Donkey would be hanging out with his girlfriend, but I guess not. I guess not. I guess he's gonna go over and hang out with Funky instead. You see the Donkey picture up there on the piano, right? $4, okay. Sorry, I'm taking a drink of water. Doing the commentary for a GDQ submission by yourself is, you know, could be taxing. So if I do take little breaks here and there, please forgive me. All right, we have a crate over here. We know Donkey's gonna be in this shop. Press this open. There he is. There's Donkey. Oh, and he buys a couple things too. Okay, so he buys a move here. Get our boy Donkey. Oh god, Funky with Funky with a tiny head, it like jump scared me. All right, Donkey also only has $5, so we can buy this. What is it? This is, ooh, okay. I'm gonna buy this, but I kind of want to go get more Donkey coins because that is not a move that you normally need. That's a Rang Stand Sprint. It does allow us to run pretty fast though. $6, can't buy that. All right. Let's come down here. There's gonna be, that's the boss door. Okay, so we don't need that. Let's check this Kasplat. Oh, I missed. Okay, normally you can actually knock him out from the platform down there if you have Shockwave, but I missed. Oop, come on. Okay. And then where's the Diddy balloon? There it is. Okay. We are gonna head back over to the lighthouse area now. Actually, no, let's do the treasure room first. I'm kinda in a mode, like I said earlier, where I need a lot more GBs in order to beat the game. So this is kind of a point where we just got all of our Kongs. We have a decent amount of moves. And this level alone, just if you have Donkey and Diving and Mini Monkey, you can do quite a bit in this level. So let's stick here for a little bit and do some stuff. Showing off that Diddy can jump very high, and because we're using the Tag Anywhere mod, I want to call it a mod, we can actually swap to Kongs at any point, at any time. You can even do it in midair, like I just did, and that allows you to grab really high ledges because Diddy can jump very high, and Lanky's hitbox as far as grabbing things is also very high because he's got really long arms. So
welcome to
we usually like to use any combination of like Diddy Lanky, Diddy Chunky, even like Tiny Chunky, things like that, to circumvent the need for a move like Simian Spring, which is the pad move for Diddy that you're normally supposed to have in order to access this Kasplat and this barrel. But instead, we could just jump up there. We'll do this minigame for a GB, since we're in here. Jump all the way across. I couldn't quite see what that was. You can get a quick glimpse of what this barrel is if you load it in during your donkey kick there, but I did not. Then let's just climb up. I probably won't do this one if it's a GB. Nah, we'll skip that one. I did one in here already. We'll skip that one. Some Pilot Wings music. Oh, it's really nice. Grab the tiny bananas. Depth perception. There we go. It's hard. All right. Can we? Ooh, that's actually a really nice thing to find. Grab this rainbow coin. Just gave us some more Donkey and Diddy money. And Tiny, of course. Another thing that you'll notice is that I swapped to Lanky while I'm swimming. Lanky and Diddy are the fastest swimmers. Again, as I mentioned before, all of the Kongs kind of have their own like little unique specialties. Diddy is, when you get really technical, he is the fastest swimmer, primarily because he gets up to his top speed faster than Lanky does. So you either want to be swimming with Diddy or Lanky if you're ever underwater, and we're in Gloomy Galleon. The vast majority of the level is underwater, so nice vanilla pearl. That's hilarious. There were 3 rainbow coins in here. Okay, that's hilarious. All right, we are not going to grab all 3, but that's really silly. That's pretty funny. Ooh, I'm in a weird... Okay, there we go. That was strange. Diddy was like stuck in his stunned animation. Okay. Okay, let's get some more hint info. There's a hint over here behind the 2-door ship. I could just listen to the hang glider theme of Pilot Wings all day. Outer Isles for 8. Okay. Outer Isles gave me Monkey Port. So the Outer Isles check I'm referring to was that dirt patch we popped open earlier, outside of the level 5 lobby, which got us Monkey Port, which is required for key 8. Okay, pretty straightforward hint there. All right. I don't believe there was anything in the Cranky shop that I cared about. Let's just go straight over to the lighthouse. Do some checks here. Again, just trying to kind of push that GB count up a little bit before I go into perhaps some of these later levels. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start chasing this key 5 hint. So the only thing I know about key 5 is that it is locked in Aztec tunnels. And Aztec tunnels has so far only gotten me the Strong Kong ability with Donkey. So I could do one of two things. I could either assume that Strong Kong is not needed for key 5, and just do more Aztec tunnel checks, or I can assume that it is required and start doing Strong Kong things. I think I just repeated myself. Basically what I'm saying is I can either I can either assume that that move is required, or that the key just exists in another check in the tunnels. And the decision I make, which one? What am I gonna do here? I think I'm gonna go back. I think I'm gonna go back to Aztec tunnels and check some more stuff. Not before I do more here in Galleon. There's 2 more hints I can get, as well as a very quick check here with Lanky. Ugh, come on, swim up into the box, Lanky. There we go. Okay, bust this one open. You're gonna swim over here, break this one open. I routed this a little goofy, but okay. Golden banana. The crate is down here, or I guess the chest is down here. GB there, and then there is a hint behind this on guard door, and then one more in what we call the pit. Let's break that open. We're gonna swap the donkey so that we can get his banana metal check while we're in here. Very good. Hints just telling me where my slams were, which could be potentially useful, but we have both of them, so that doesn't really matter. And again, swapping to Diddy just because he's the fastest swimmer. And then we're gonna come down here, grab this hint, and then we are gonna leave. Got here. Forest. Oh, okay. You know what? That just answered my question. Okay, so excellent. Let's write down that. Okay, so that actually answered my question, and I'll explain why when we get there. Get over to Forest. Also gonna check the fairy check in here that is required with Featherbow. Take a picture of this fairy. This is one of the worst fairies in the game. It can fly past you, and then it's just impossible to take a picture of, so good that we got that. Okay, so the reason why that actually answered my question earlier about the whole, Strong Kong, Strong Kong key 5 thing, is because this area over here that we opened up has a little barn. It's called the Thornvine Barn, and there are 3 checks in there. Now, technically, you can get these checks without Strong Kong, but the game doesn't really assume that you can damage boost, because again, people might have less health. You don't want to be locked behind damage boosting in a randomizer. That's usually a recipe for disaster. So this entire barn expects you to have Strong Kong, because you have to roll through these thorns to ground pound that switch. Otherwise, if you'll notice, see how I take damage there? You can't you can reach that switch and ground pound it, like if you damage boost through the vines, but it's a little tricky. So because the game expects me to have Strong Kong, there's a good chance that key 5 is, well, it's probably just in here. There are 3 checks in here to note. We know that the fairy is required, but just for the sake of being a little thorough, let's check some other stuff. We'll do another little... do a little Kong swap trick here where we grab that pole with Chunky. Bust this open. Is this key 5? Hey, we got key 5. All right. Excellent. Ooh, and there's a move here. Now we know... okay, we know this move is not required, but I do want to know what it is. And the reason I want to know what it is... First of all, let's get the move first, and then I can kind of explain why getting this move is important. Even though I know it's probably not required. There's a chance it's also probably a bait vial, like an instrument upgrade or something. So. Get out of my way. Oop, I didn't grab the coin. Ooh, get out of my way. I went the wrong way. He confused me. He cast confusion. It was super effective. Out of the way. All right. What is this move? Oh, boo. That move, it's a bait vial. Boo. All right. 37. All right. One last thing we're going to do. Let's go into level 5. Buy this donkey move that we saw here. We can also check 2 more things now that we have Donkey. So Donkey has this cool little kick move, right? You see that? See how I'm kind of clearing those gaps? This kick allows you to do some things that you are normally not meant to do, just like that. Clear a lot of distance with the kick. Grab that GB, and then we're gonna warp back over to Japes. So I guess I'll explain what that little thorn vine thing there with that vial that I didn't need. So the way the path hints work is you can actually get negative information from them. And what I mean by that is, Aztec Tunnels, the hint we read earlier, said that it was past to key 5, right? But only past to key 5. Now, because I found key 5 using Strong Kong, that means that Strong Kong cannot lock any other moves. It cannot be required in any other capacity other than just getting me key 5. So all of the other Strong Kong checks in the game are basically dead from that point forward, which is a nice thing because Strong Kong checks are kind of stinky. So that's kind of what I was referring to earlier. I was hoping that it would actually give me a move and then I could say, oh man, it just gave me trombone. That means every trombone check is dead, stuff like that. But instead, it just gave me a bait vial and everyone got to laugh at me instead, so. Over here, let's buy this. And then we can actually get to another hint door back here, so let's do that. All right, we got saxophone there. Okay, that's interesting. Saxophone, we don't know if it's required, but that is Tiny's instrument. We're still looking for Chunky's instrument. We're also still looking for Rocket Barrel, Primate Punch, and Gorilla Gone. Those are our final kind of go mode moves. And we do know that there is something on the Isles Kasplat, the factory lobby, but that we need Punch to do that. So we got to find Punch before we're able to do whatever that is. Also, this Rambi model is totally fine. It's fine. It's not weird. Don't make it weird. It's totally fine. That guy out of the way. Come in here. What are you going to tell me? Oh, baby. Okay. So we need to go to Helm and there's something in the donkey room. Okay, that is fascinating. That does not happen very often. All right, what could that actually be? It could be, it could be Rocket Barrel. I feel like it's probably gonna be Rocket Barrel if I had to guess. Could also be Triangle. That would be kind of funny. There's only a handful of things that could realistically be. All right, so let's get out of here and let's finally go into level 6 and 7. So key 5 is the key that locks the final 2 levels of the game. Other than Helm. Helm is like the actual final level, but we don't really kind of treat Helm that way in these settings. Helm is a lot more like, you know, your Ganon's castle, right, in OOT, right? Where you do it every seed, but you don't really consider it as like a dungeon. Forest Cranky Donkey. Ooh, I never went over there. Okay, I remember just now that I never went over to that area. We may just elect to go do that. Oh, okay, yeah, let's let's go over there instead. Yeah, I can't go into castle yet. Yeah, you can see, can't go to castle yet. That's really funny. So that means caves is level 7. Let's get the hint, I guess, in the caves lobby. And then we're gonna head over to forest. Yeah, I remembered. Yeah, I never went over to the Mills area just because we got into a pretty straight line as far as progression goes. Wow, okay, there are... we need to go to forest. There are 2 moves in the shops over there that we need. Ooh, we might actually be... Okay. Let's see, can we go in here? We cannot go in there, but we're close. Okay. Let's go back to forest. I think we should go back to forest. What do you think? Should we go back to forest? Actually go over into the one of the 3 regions that I haven't been in yet. So this is gonna spawn us over here, of course, in the Mills area. And because we have not even like went into these other areas, I need to just warp into the sort of central hub. And then now we just got to do the level as normal. We can't warp around. We can't do the fast strats. We just got to open up all these gates to get anywhere. So we'll do the Forest Funky Shop first, just because it's kind of the more obnoxious one to get over to. Also check another hint door. There's also a dirt patch over here we can open. Rainbow coin, we don't care about that. Ooh, that's just the boss door. Okay, interesting. Over here, and what do you have? The Diddy move that we buy. $2. And that is punch. Okay. So that's required for a myriad of things. Okay. Who was the GB that I could buy? No, that wasn't it. Oh, no, a tiny one. Let's see if we can afford this. $3, sure. So as you progress through these seeds, you know, we've been picking up colored golden bananas. We've been picking up blueprints. When you get really, really good at this randomizer and you get a little sweaty with it, you get a little competitive with it, you need to start taking into consideration the idea that you may over GB in the sense that you're going out of your way to pick up GBs and blueprints that you're not gonna, oh my God. we don't gotta talk about that yet. Oh boy, we do not need to talk about that just yet. Oh boy, there's a chance that you might end up over GBing in the sense that you kind of, like I said, you kind of go out of your way to get more than you need to. And it can cost you a decent amount of time. So the better players usually are pretty good at just nailing 64 and not going over by an extreme amount. So, ooh, I can just barely afford this. Okay. We need Baboon Blast. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Not sure what we need that for, but we'll see. Now it could be that I just have my third and final phase of K. Rool is Donkey, because Donkey phase of K. Rool requires that move. But who knows? We'll see. All right, I think it's time we finally go check this Isles Kasplat, the factory lobby one. We're not going to climb up the mushroom just yet. Let's go do our hinted required thing here. And I'll tell you what, if this actually gives me triangle, we could do some cheeky hint strats as far as like the game's gonna tell me. The game's gonna tell me where some of my missing moves are. Okay, is that just Rocket Barrel? Okay, cool. I still don't have triangle. Oh, but triangle might just be in Helm. How many GBs do I have? Let's see. Let me do this and then I'll count. Counting is hard while you're moving. I have 50. I have 53. Okay. Ooh, here's a move. This is probably just a bait move, but we'll see. Here. Yep, just a bait move. Okay. Let's come over here. Drop down here. Take a peek at what these moves are. Let's see. Just a GB there. And then I'm gonna go to the top of Creme Isle using Monkey Port. Oh, nothing there. And see, let's just take a little peek around Isles. Because there's a chance that I might just be in get to 64 GBs to enter go mode. Now that I know this. Okay, that's just a melon. Play the saxophone pad. Okay, just a golden banana there. Let's go into the Helm lobby. I can check the Kasplat here. I actually can't get over there yet, because as you can see, I don't have Gorilla Gone. I can't activate these vines. But we can check what this guy has. Okay, he's just got a GB. Okay, cool. All right. So I think we are in a situation where I'm gonna just be rushing to get to 64 GBs. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because if I go all the way to the top again, like I just did, and I have 64 GBs in my possession, the game will tell me where Gorilla Gone is. So that can kind of be a way that if you're lacking in information like we are currently, that could be a way to just sort of being like, all right, I know I need to get to 64. Let me just rush there, get that as fast as I possibly can, and then just have the game tell me where potentially my final moves are. So that is what we are gonna do. So like I said, with blueprints, I have 54. Right? 54? Yes, 54. So we're gonna clear out this Isle shop. We're gonna check this last dirt patch. And then we're probably actually gonna go into caves, because caves I have not been in yet. And because of that, caves is gonna have a bunch of Sphere Zero Kasplats that I can check. It's gonna have some shops that I can look at, and potentially just get us right up to that 64 GB count, which would be very nice. What's in here? Okay, 2 GBs here. Hopefully I can buy them. I cannot buy that. I only have $1 with Donkey. My man's broke. He can't afford it. Wow, I can't believe that rolled. That's like a max roll. The highest it can roll is 9, which is really funny. Okay. Head back over to caves. Just over here. Well, I rolled the edge of that pretty close. Okay. So 2 things we can do actually in this lobby. And one of them I'm going to show off a pretty cool way that you can do it. So normally, I'm gonna get this check just to kind of show the trick off. So normally what you're meant to do here is across the way there in that cave, there is a strong Kong barrel that allows you to run across this lava. This lava will kill me the second I touch it. However, we have a move, which is orange throwing. And we can use orange throwing to give myself some iframes. If I line this up correctly. Roll across the lava. There we go, okay. I did that just to, you know, show off a cute little strat, so. But yeah, you can actually do that. You can skip out on Strong Kong. It's a fun little strat. Punch this open. There's a Kasplat in here. You can see the Strong Kong barrel that you're supposed to use to do that check I just did. It's right there, right over there. All right, let's go into caves, and potentially one of these hints that I can walk by might just tell me where Gorilla Gone is. Just like, you know, a way of the Horde or something like that. Otherwise, you know, we're gonna have to just get the 64 hint to tell me where it is. Okay, we're starting over here in cabins. Again, I don't want to over GB. I want to be careful about how much stuff I actually buy. Right, that puts us at 58. This is also one of the more refined skills. When you get into a situation like this where you're kind of in what we call GB go mode, which is just get to 64 and then you're done. The checks that you opt to go for and the levels that you choose to go into is very, very important when it comes to, you know, how fast you end up finishing. And a lot of races have been decided by that alone, just where you choose to go, when you choose to go there. Let's go and grab these two hints. Factory Kasplat Block Tower, which we did already. I believe that was, what was that? Key 6? Yeah, that was key 6. Here, let's check this hint. Just trying to see if it'll tell me. Foolish Mushroom. I mean, foolish hints are nice. We know where we don't have to go. Never gonna be upset about that. Knock this Kasplata. Ooh, we got some Scorch and Torch playing. Very nice. What we got there? It's a blueprint. I don't have any Diddy blueprints, so I'm basically just gonna ignore those checks. Because I don't want to have to just play the, do the entire cutscene again with just Diddy. It would be kind of obnoxious. Lanky Blueprint's good. I think that was just a pearl in the funky shop. Let's see, what did you have? Couldn't quite get a good glimpse of it. Okay, we got 2 more GBs. Oops. 2 more GBs we can buy here. That puts us at 62, right? We're at 62 now? Am I doing my math correctly? Yes, we're at 62. This here is 63. I don't, man, if I could not dump that donkey blueprint, that would be nice. Because that's just one more cutscene I have to watch. So ideally, we just find enough GBs here to where I don't have to do that. Let's see. If I have to dump the donkey blueprint, then that's fine. But we're getting a little sweaty about how we finish this. All right, well, now I'm definitely... That's really funny. Now we're definitely just going to do it. All right, one more tiny kick slide strat. If I can press the buttons correctly. There we go. Let's see. Oop, I can't afford that one. Never mind. Oh, we're at 64. Never mind. We're at 64. What am I doing? Stop. Don't do that. Get out of here. Here, just check this guy, check this hint, and then we're going to bail. We're going to grab this hint, and then we're going to get out of here. Anything? We don't need to pick that up. We're at 64. Production room is a potion. I did not find a potion. Oh, no, I did. I found vine swinging there. Okay. So we know there's nothing else in production. Okay, cool. All right. So now let us proceed to dump. And then let's get the info on where Gorilla Gone is. We are not in go mode. I want to be very clear. We are not in go mode. There could very easily... Gorilla Gone could very easily be in a spot that I cannot access yet, so... Okay. Okay. What are some places that I'd really not... I'd be really sad if they told me that it was in Castle. Because Castle required me to get to 64 GBs to just enter it. Which it can do. That can happen in complex level order. That would be pretty mean if it did that. Roll on over. And again, when I step on the Gorilla Gone pad, it will tell me, it won't tell me the exact check, but it will tell me a level and a Kong. So it could say something like Donkey Tiny, it can, or not, Japes Tiny, it can say Aztec Lanky, it can say anything like that, so. All right, where is it? Okay, caves with Diddy might be a problem. Caves with Diddy might be a problem. And the reason that might be a problem is because most of Diddy's checks, in fact, all but like 2 or 1 really, are locked behind guitar. And I do not know where guitar is. We're gonna... Oh boy. We are gonna oh boy. Okay. Yeah, we are gonna gamble. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the one check that I can do here with Diddy, which is his banana medal, which is just get to 45 colored bananas, which I can do. And if that's not Gorilla Gone, then we need to start looking for some more hints. We might actually be going into Castle just for the information in Castle. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Got these smalls. What 4-pack of smalls did I grab with Diddy? That's weird. Not exactly where I got those. Down here, there's a balloon here. Grab these. Don't touch the pad. All right, well, you can swoop down through that and touch those without actually landing. But no big deal. There's another rocket barrel. Oh, there's another rocket barrel over here. In fact, I want to grab more crystals. Nah, we'll just go. Hopefully I don't run out of crystals if I need to like go anywhere else. I would consider this to be a pretty lucky break. If it's just on his medal, I would consider that to be a woo moment. Wow. Okay. That's really funny. I definitely could have gotten that without leaving. Probably. Definitely could have gotten that on that first trip into Castle that we did, but again, unhinted, you had no idea that it was going to be required. So, All right, now, again, we are still technically not in go mode because we are missing triangle. And the reason we need triangle is because the 2 rooms that I need to complete in order to turn off the Blast-O-Matic in here are Donkey Chunky. Now, we know that the Donkey room has something that's required in it. So it could be anything from triangles just in here. It could be a move that I need in order to get triangle. Let's see. I couldn't quite make out what that was. Oh, is that just a green vial? Oh, wow. Okay, it is. Yeah, that is... Wow, this seed is pretty funny. What we consider one of those funny seeds. All right, now, I stress again, we are still technically not in go mode, and the reason we aren't is because we do not know what our 3rd phase of K. Rool is. The final boss of this is a randomized, the final, like, end game of this, of any DK64 Season 3.5 seed, is a 3-phase boss fight of the, you know, the K. Rool phases at the end of the game. Normally, you have Donkey Phase, Diddy Phase, Lanky Phase, Tiny Phase, Chunky Phase. But they're randomized, they are in a random order, and the game randomly picks 3 of them for you to do. We know that we have to do Diddy Phase and Chunky Phase, but we do not know what the last one is. And if, and only if, we see Lanky as the final phase of this seed, we are not in go mode. In fact, we are actually very far from go mode if that's the case. Because we do not have the 2 moves required to beat Lanky Phase of K. Rool. We do not have Trombone, and we do not have Barrels. So hopefully, we don't see that. We're gonna go for a cheeky little cutscene skip here. Oh, I missed it, okay. So if you play your instrument on a particular frame, right before that little machine explodes, you'll actually skip this whole cutscene we're watching right here. It's pretty tight. I want to say it's like a 3 to 5 frame win. I don't know. I think it might be 3 frames. Maybe it's 2. I don't know. Pretty tough to get. Oh, wait, I didn't pick up the... Okay, listen, I'm throwing for content, okay? I need to go pick up triangle, you silly goof. Go back in. Go back in and pick up the vial. I was so upset that I didn't get the cutscene skip. In fact, you know what? Actually, had I gotten the cutscene skip, I would have not been able to pick up this vial. So you know what? Calculated. Absolutely calculated. Here, now we can play the triangle. Beep. Come over here. Now this cutscene skip I can get. I'm not gonna like soft lock myself. Not soft lock. You just gotta reload the room. Oh, I missed. I was aiming. Okay, that was. I'm gonna call some cheats on the game there. I was aiming up to the right, not up, not down to the right. Oh man, this is a bad minigame. As in my performance has been bad. The minigame's fine. It's all pattern based. They always come out in the same order every time. So, poor execution on my part. All right, one more minigame here in Helm, and then we're gonna go up to the top. And at the top of Helm, there's like a, wow, you kidding me? There's gonna be a little wall up in like K. Rool's like throne room, where the Kong phases that are required to beat the endgame will be shown to you. And we don't wanna see a lanky face. We don't wanna see that funny face. We wanna see a donkey face or a tiny face. And if that's the case, then we're in go mode. All right, let's see if I can get this cutscene skip. I missed it. Again, I think that's like a 2 or 3 frame window that you're looking for there, so pretty tough. But yeah, you can skip this entire cutscene. So, oh, all right, this is the moment of truth. Are we in go mode? This would be coming in a little bit at the lower end of my estimates. I'm probably going to be submitting this with an estimate of about 145. There's a chance that this is probably going to finish closer to a 140, which again is not a problem, but 145 is the goal here. So, all right, Lanky. All right, we got Donkey Phase. So we actually got the fastest option there as well. Donkey Phase is very, very fast. So we're actually going to come well under estimate for this seed. Again, my estimate, I usually finish these anywhere between like an hour 45 to an hour, you know, about 2 hours. I will, of course, you know, obviously have the seed vetted. I wouldn't just blindly jump in like I did today. But, yeah. So as you can see, K. Rool phases are randomized. We're starting off with Diddy. All of these phases have also been sped up. I'm only going to have to break open or break 3 of these lights to knock K. Rool out and transition the phase. And hopefully I can get one of these quick hits here on the Diddy phase. Let's see if I can line this up properly. That looks okay. Maybe, there we go. Okay, so I shot through the light and actually hit both sides at the same time. Let's see if we can do it again. This looks good. There we go, perfect. All right, so very fast Diddy phase. Love to see that. Chunky phase and Donkey phase are also very, very quick. See what the second one is. It's probably gonna be Chunky. Oh, it's Donkey, okay. So Chunky, we're actually gonna get the vanilla, we're gonna get the vanilla end then, if Chunky is the final one, which is pretty funny. Donkey up here. There we go. So normally, this phase was kind of an interesting phase initially in some of the earlier iterations of Rando, because normally this phase doesn't require any moves. You always had climbing. You know, you didn't necessarily need Baboon Blast in order to shoot out of these barrels. But because this phase was just kind of free and a little boring, they added the fact that, well, one, climbing is shuffled. You need to find climbing in some settings. We don't have to find it in these settings, but blast is required to shoot out of these barrels normally. Or not normally in the, if you play DK64, but in the Rando it is. So there's an interesting little thing there. Again, you see super fast sped up there. You skip out on the 3rd barrel blast. And we are going to be ending on Chunky phase, how we normally do. And time will be coming up when you see the, I mean, I'll call time and the timer will stop, but time will be when the sort of letterboxed effect around the animation of Chunky punching K. Rool shows up. So, here. And of course, we got a backflip on the final hit for the fans. Two more punches. Again, this is coming in on a bit of the lower end of my estimate. This was a pretty generous, pretty fast seed. But again, I'm aiming for anything around like an hour 45 is around usually what I finish at. So I also took some time to kind of pause and explain some things. So one more punch. We're gonna bust out the swag strats. We're gonna backflip on him. Get in the barrel. Backflip. The swag strats. Fix our orientation. And that is GG. K. Rool has been defeated. And there you go. That is a DK64 3.5. Oh, of course we get SMRPG for my final music. Let's go. That is DK64 randomizer at the 3.5 settings. Real quick, just some very, very brief shout outs if you're watching this as one of the games committee people, or I'm going to be, of course, uploading this on YouTube if you're watching this. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for considering DK64 randomizer for SGDQ. I am extremely fortunate and happy to have been part of this community for such a very long time. They have been so good to me. This is by far my most played randomizer. I started off as a OOT rando player back in the day. I've dabbled in other things, Kingdom Hearts, Link to the Past, The Messenger, a bunch of other different randomizers. But nothing has hooked me quite as much as DK64 has. I've done well over 1,000 seeds at this point over the last 3.5 years that I've been playing. I've gotten the opportunity to do it a number of times on GDQ hotfix shows. I think I'm probably the most prevalent player of DK64 randomizer in hotfix. I think I've done... This model is... What is happening right now? What is happening? Are we about to launch a spider at him? Oh my god, we are. That's really funny. You know, I think I've done maybe a dozen, maybe more showcases of DK64 on various hotfix shows. I'm always super, super happy to showcase this, show how silly, fun, chaotic this randomizer can be. All of the custom models you're seeing, the custom music, things like that. And of course, it is one of the more user-friendly, beginner-friendly randomizers. You can jump into this game without having any prior experience if you really want to. I never played this game as a kid. I didn't own it. I never played it. And, you know, 3 years later, over 1,000 seeds later, I'm still playing. I'm still having a lot of fun. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope to bring this to the GDQ stage. It is an absolute... to say it's a dream of mine to perform up on the GDQ stage playing a game is an understatement. So I hope you consider it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.